This week we have a special guest speaker on conversation training for marriage equality. Next week we have the extremely popular youth group report, so don't be sure to not miss that.
Okay, that's a little too...
I had the pleasant little task of introducing our speaker, and I'm going to make it really short because I wanted to have as much time as possible. Our guest this morning is Maggie George, and Maggie is a volunteer for Minnesota United for All Families and is the coordinator for UCC efforts for the East Metro.
There are voices of faith. There are people who have strongly held faith connections that believe a no vote is in keeping with their faith. And so another seed, I think, gets planted. And I actually think that my Catholic education that I got, which I thought was amazing, is one of the reasons I have to vote no. When I first came out, I really felt all of the things that you hear from the Catholic Church now, how wrong it was, how bad it was, and all these other things, and it almost cost me my life. But as I thought more deeply about what I really learned as a Catholic, about justice, and about inclusion, and about love, and about myself being made in the image of God, I realized it was the faith that I had really learned that actually saved my life. Having said that, I did go to the UCC Church, and I'm now a proud member of the United Church of Christ, and very proud of what the United Church of Christ is doing around this amendment work. I have a lot of respect for the Catholic Church because they are putting their money where their mouth is, and we should do the same. The other thing I'm really hopeful for is that on November 7th, no matter what has happened the day before, that we will be able to feel like we have built stronger community connections, and that conversations that really touch each other's hearts and really let people be vulnerable to one another and share who they really are with respect and having been listened to, we actually will gain a lot. And I think we'll gain a lot no matter what that vote is. And that's what I'm counting on. I hope that we are celebrating on November 7th, but if we're not celebrating, I hope that we're a stronger community together to march on to whatever next thing we do. So those are my kind of hopes and dreams in this whole process. And one of the things that Minnesota is doing that hasn't been done in any other campaign yet is to use the voices of faith strongly to try to defeat this. The voices of faith in other states have been used to try and uphold this sort of thing. And so our work in Minnesota with people of faith, talking with people of faith from their faith convictions may have the impact that we need. That's what we're hoping for, that's what we're praying for, and that's what we're working for. So, so that's what I'm encouraging you all to do, is to speak from your heart and to know people from their heart, not to necessarily have a fight with them. Don't create a battlefield. Just create an openness that lets. But what's really important is that we really do have this emotional connection to people, that we don't let them stay in their head and just talk about the facts or to be general about it, but to really think about faces and stories and people that touch their heart that make a difference. One of the reasons this is really important is because when the ads start from the other side, and they will start, and the longer we don't see them, the scarier it is, because that means they will blanket the airways, and it will be everywhere, and they will speak to the heart. They're not fire and brimstone, they're not scary, they're not these tyrannical kinds of commercials. They're heartwarming, they're tender, and they break open the heart. And so if people haven't had the opportunity to already have their heart open to the people that matter to them and to the people who this will matter to, they'll have their hearts opened by that fear of what their children will learn in school, or fear of what it might mean, or what it might break. And there's one of the lines that I've seen in their ads that says, if you don't think that this amendment has anything to do with you, think again. So it's really targeting the people who have just sort of like, yeah, I'm going to vote no, or whatever, like it's no big deal. Suddenly it becomes a big deal and it hits their heart. So that's the reason that we keep talking about how important it is to really have those kind of emotional connections to people, because I think they have to be sort of inoculated, if you will, and already have. When they see that ad, they can see your face or your child's face or my face or whatever, and recognize how that comes to them. And conversations is our big thing. It is having lots and lots and lots and lots of conversations, a million conversations. The various networks that you put the name of the network in that box inside the circle. And then think about who in that network would you have conversations with. And remember that having conversations with people who are already supportive or who you think are supportive are very, very important. We need to have twice as many conversations with people who are supportive as with people who aren't. I wouldn't bother to have a conversation with people or have a very long conversation with people who are very clearly voting yes and there's nothing that's going to change their mind. Move on. Don't ruin the relationship, but don't spend a lot of energy. This could be Minnesota nice at its best. I think a lot of times we are afraid to have conversations because we want to be so nice and we want to be careful to not step on somebody's toes. But the opportunity to actually be nice in a way that's inviting and opening each other's hearts, I think is a great, I just think of the possibilities of what we could be if we could do this. So I want to give you all a chance to have conversations. And the conversations that you have with people who are supportive are very important. We need to make sure that they're going to vote and make sure they're going to stay with us. The conversations that you're probably a little bit more worried about are some of those conversations you might have put on your networking map of somebody who you think, I should have the conversation with them, but I'm not exactly sure where they are, or I think I know where they are and that makes me nervous. So what I'd encourage you to do is pair up with somebody else. Think of one of those people that you have on your network map that you want to have the conversation with, and pretend and be that person. So whatever things you might be concerned that they might say, play that role and let the other person, and if you are the person who's basically the host for the conversation, then just engage them in real conversation. You know, meeting someone in the grocery store. I mean, she gave you the opening, right? She said, what have you been up to? Take it. Do not miss that softball pitch that just comes right at you and you can just take it right out of the park. Because it's easy to say, oh, I've been so busy, I've been doing so many things, my kids are in school, blah, blah, blah. How about you? And you just like squandered the opportunity. So be on your toes for those opportunities that might just show up and surprise you. So similarities, you know, finding ways to find something that's in common or sharing your beliefs, those kind of things. And I think really speaking from the heart, you know, once those ads start running and people start talking about what our kids are going to learn at school, you know, my reaction has been, I sure wish that when I was a kid I had learned that it was okay that I might love another woman. And what it would have meant for me in my life if I had gotten that. Yeah. And today I have a 5-year-old. And I wish that she would come home and say, Mommy, it's okay that I have 2 moms.
Yeah.
That would mean the world to me. You and the conversations that you will have could make the difference in how this goes. Every one of your conversations matters. Every person that decides to vote no and that goes to the polls can make a difference. Thank you all very much for your attention and for inviting me here. I have a pleasure to be here. And good luck with those conversations.